Shalom, Kahala Yahweh Shem Yahushai Bahashim Kakudash, double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. And shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the World War III Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to you watching. All right, so there's some movement going on in World War III that has not yet been declared World War III, but a little birdie is out saying that Russia just may declare that World War very soon because of the exponential movement that's going on in Eastern Europe right now. So let's start right here. I'm gonna just get this for the sake of argument. Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Hey, this thing is about to get ugly. All right. NLT, and you will hear wars and threats. Threats. Rumors. 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 Scroll down. Reports. It is going to happen that you are going to hear battles and reports of wars. Threats. We got threats, reports, rumors, and news. News of battles. Let's get into some of this news. Okay. Now, two things that are going on. You got to understand what propaganda is. Okay. You have to understand that here in America, also known as Babylon the Great, Russia bad. Russia bad. Nazi good. See, you got rumors that there's Nazis over there in the Ukraine. And what Vladimir Putin from Russia says, we're denazifying the Ukraine. Okay? Rumors, threats, news, reports. Okay? So, but in America is pro-Ukraine, even though they're a bunch of Nazis. What kind of Nazi moron is, or oxymoron is that? This is today. You're going to sit here and watch this guy who I thought was pretty cool, the lawyer, but he's pro-Ukraine. You can tell in his delivery, all right? So he has a dog in this fight. And his dog is Zelensky. Listen to what he's saying.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. The Russian propaganda media is in full freakout mode right now, following the stunning advances of the Ukrainian military in what is being described as really the most impressive military counteroffensive in military history, and certainly since World War II. We've seen this counteroffensive taking place in Kharkiv in the northeast, with the Ukrainian military reclaiming over 1,000 miles of land and potentially encircling Russian troops. And while that was going on in Kharkiv, in the south, in the Kherson area as well, a major counteroffensive there, potentially on the way to Ukraine being able to reestablish a control over Crimea after it was unlawfully taken by the Russians. Let me play you a clip right now of the Russian propaganda media, what they have to say. They are saying that victory is impossible. They are saying that they want to stop the war. There's even someone who pushes back one of the guests, say, no, this is how Putin told us it was going. And the other guests come in and basically say to him, really, you think this is going according to plan? We clearly weren't getting accurate information from our own intelligence. Here, play this clip of Russian propaganda.
Okay, now before we move forward with this, part of what he's saying is right. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that it's true? Okay. What is propaganda? See, hey, what about Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu says you gotta do everything to, to throw your enemy off. All right. And then if you read the comments and everybody's talking about, well, these guys are going to be jumping out of high rises because, meaning that they got thrown out of a high rise. But this is pro-Ukraine. Okay, now these are Russians on Russian media, and they're kind of arguing back and forth. But this is just a small picture, a small fragment of where this thing is going. None of this matters. And I'll show you that in a different video in a second. But they are arguing amongst each other, But, hey, remember this. There's nukes involved in this. All right? This is going to escalate to nukes. So this is small bananas right now. And if you keep up with it, it's going to be moving quick. I'm going to just let it play through so you can see that they're arguing amongst each other. And the West is making hay about, oh, look at this. We got them on the run. They took a beating. Yeah. What is that beating going to produce? It's going to produce a higher level of warfare, all right, which has already taken place.
Которые убедили президента Путина, что спецоперация будет эффективной, короткой, по мирному населению бить не будем, только зайдем, Росгвардия, там, кадыровцы все наведут порядок и так далее. Вот эти люди, просто подставили всех нас очень сильно.
Но эти люди есть, вы уверены?
Конечно, есть. Президент же не сам сидел и думал, дай-ка я начну спецоперацию. Кто-то приходил, говорил, что украинцы сдадутся, разбегутся, все в Россию попросят. Кто же это ему говорил, в конце концов, да?
Да и на телевидении говорили, Андрей Ильич,
здесь
что мы не
говорили.
знаем.
Мы подошли к черте, за которой надо просто понимать простую вещь. Победить Украину теми ресурсами, которые сейчас Россия там пытается воевать в режиме колониальной войны, да? Контрактники воюют, там, ЧВК и так далее, мобилизации нет.
За риторикой следите.
Это невозможно абсолютно, потому что российской армии там противостоит вообще сильная армия, которая по полной программе поддерживает сильнейшее в экономическом, технологическом отношении государство Европы, да, в частности.
То есть вы предлагаете мобилизацию провести, военную мобилизацию, мобилизацию там сознания или экономики?
Начать переговоры о прекращении войны и перейти к политическим вопросам.
Сергей Михайлович, начать переговоры или действовать так, как Богдан Анатольевич предлагает?
Никаких с нацистским режимом Зеленского быть не может. Нацистский режим Зеленского должен быть уничтожен.
Господин Надеждин считает, что у нас
или мобилизация, война в полный рост.
Я напомню, что недавно совсем Владимир очень правильно сказал, мы еще не начинали. Когда надо будет, начнем.
Так уже
мобилизации не нужно. У нас хватает сил, и все решается.
Простите, а чего мы ждем? Вот вы говорите, хватает сил. Мы слышим, что все идет по плану. Но неужели кто-то всерьез верит, что 6 месяцев назад план был, чтобы сейчас мы там оставляли Бакалею, контрнаступление отражали, в Харьковской области не смогли взять Харьков.
Балаклею сказано, надо не забывать, коллеги, мы воюем сегодня с блоком НАТО, руками украинцев, в том числе хорошо подготовленных, и армия там серьезная. И вооружение серьезное.
Наша военная разведка могла предсказать.
Поэтому это процесс непростой, война есть война. И все предсказать и предугадать невозможно. Но силы есть, а самое главное, есть политическая воля, и дело будет доведено до конца, до нашей победы.
Война – это очень комплексное понятие. И там есть и политическая, и есть психологическая составляющая. Вот нам за последние несколько дней нанесли очень чувствительный психологический удар. Что касается не товарища Надеждина, то еще раз прошу следить за языком, потому что даже в проброс говорить про колониальные войны недопустимо в нашем случае. Это первое. Второе. Вы политик с таким большим стажем, неужели не можете подняться на одну голову и окинуть весь театр военных действий, а он включает в себя Западную Европу и США? Или вот вы действительно думаете из того, что вы говорите, что мы там протырились через границу и пытаемся отгрызть себе кусочек территории? идет глобальная война, это ее фрагмент. И именно отсюда надо из этого исходить для того, чтобы...
Глобальная война, я надеюсь, не начнется. А вот если она начнется, то соотношение сил будет точно не в нашу пользу.
Она уже идет.
Есть две теории, как вот со всем этим можно бороться. Первые говорят, что нужно просто жестче работать на освобожденных территориях, СМЕРШ, выявление каких-то диверсантов и так далее, и так далее. Вторые говорят нам, что этого мало, и нужно на территории, собственно, с которой отправляют этих террористов, с территории государства Украины, делать что-то.
You should do something to the Ukrainian people that will sober them up. Put a couple of tactical nukes on that ass. Some micro nukes. You see where this thing is going?
И нужно на территории, собственно, с которой отправляют этих террористов, с территории государства Украины, делать что-то, что отрезвит людей, отправляющих этих террористов. Ваш принцип какой? Первый, второй или
Я
какой
думаю,
третий?
что ни первый, ни второй случай не поможет обеспечить в полной степени безопасность. И вот эти акты, эти преступления будут совершаться вне зависимости от того, насколько, так сказать, жестко будет действовать СМЕРШ.
То есть вы хотите сказать, что это с нами навсегда? Вы сейчас говорите, что это не остановить?
На очень долго.
Да?
На очень долго.
Да.
Вот был, он и сейчас есть эксперт, который дословно говорил, что российские военные рискуют погибнуть, зайдя в Одессу, только, значит, от объятий одесситов, влюбленных в русских.
Вот,
значит, это практически дословно. Случилось то, что случилось после 24 февраля. Мы все понимаем прекрасно, что это не так. Что одесситы не хотят обнимать русских военных. И этот же самый эксперт сегодня, вчера, позавчера и завтра на федеральном телеканале говорит, надо идти до конца, надо идти до конца и так далее. Я задаюсь вопросом, если эта экспертиза, этот анализ в первом случае был не просто ошибочен, а, можно сказать, преступно ошибочен, да, катастрофичен. Почему я должен слушать и прислушиваться к мнению этого же эксперта, который сейчас мне говорит, что нужно идти до конца?
То необходимо еще, чтобы население на местах, люди на местах поддерживали нас. Идеологически поддерживали нас. И для этого на освобожденных территориях, и не только на освобожденных территориях, для этого необходимо им, с ними, понимаете, рассказывать украинцам, что их не существует как этноса, как народа, что украинского языка не существует, это не может вызвать их симпатию.
Эти обстреливают, а мы должны разговаривать. Вот мне кажется, это какие-то несоединимые подходить.
Надо реалистично подходить к людям, которые там живут, и говорить им о том, как выглядит их будущее, да, вместе с Россией. Но кем они будут в России?
Правильно.
Кем они будут себя ощущать, себя чувствовать? Если они считают себя украинцами, то сколько бы им ни говорили там Холмогоровы или какие-то еще, понимаете, наши люди, что их не существует, понимаете, говорить человеку, что его нет, отрицать его сам,
так, мы сейчас
значит
немножко
вызвать
уходим
его,
и не будет.
вызвать его
Мне кажется, что это все надо было делать или раньше, или надо будет делать чуть позже, когда
Лучше поздно, чем
военная
никогда.
фаза закончится. А вот насколько быстро она закончится, это вопрос.
Нам нужно выиграть войну на Украине. Мы должны ликвидировать.
Oh, there's the N-word. We have to liquidate the N-words regime.
Там нацистский режим, а после этого, кто еще захочет, пусть приходит, и мы с ними
И
поговорим.
сколько лет мы будем это делать, Саша?
Сколько надо.
Очень хорошо.
Сколько надо, столько
Спасибо
будет.
за честный
Потому
ответ.
что это специальная военная операция, которую некоторые я тоже называю Великой
То есть мои
Отечественной.
10-летние дети еще повоевать успеют. Правильно я понимаю?
And as I watch that Rush.
Okay, so they're arguing amongst themselves, right? The Russians. That's on Russian news program. All right, so clearly it's a family fight, right? After watching that, these are basically, I'll say it like this: white people fight amongst themselves, all right? Which, if Satan fight against Satan, how then can his kingdom stand? All right, and that's in the scriptures. Don't get upset. That's what's going on. So anyway, let's listen to a little bit more of this guy who is clearly on the side of the Ukrainians. Let's see what he says about that exchange on Russian television. And then I'll show you what the response to this so-called advance in Ukrainian foothold, or whatever they're calling this. We'll see what the response is.
And as I watch that Russian propaganda channel, I just can't think but the comparisons there between those types of networks in Russia, state-controlled networks, and frankly, what the propaganda channel known as Fox is trying to be here in the United States. And frankly, what Tucker Carlson is saying and others basically is no different than actually the one guest that you saw who the other guests were pushing back on. You still have the propagandists for fascism, for extremism, for Putin here at Fox, which is beyond despicable, who they're giving a platform to. We had the privilege of speaking to the United States commander in Europe, the former general, now retired general.
So as you can see, there's a war going on here in America too. Left against the right. The left is on the side of the Ukrainians. The right supposedly is on the side of Russians. And what is that? That's Satan fighting against Satan. How then can his kingdom stand? Okay? This dude is clearly on the side of the Ukrainians. Okay? The men of the Lord, what side are we on? We want these people to destroy each other. We're on the side of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's what we're watching. Okay? Now, whatever happened with the Ukrainian gaining a foothold is going to result in bigger weapons, right? Russia is now doing what they should have did from the start. Lights out. They should have bombed the infrastructure, shut down the lights, the power, the water, right? But they're doing it now. Well, what is now? Well, it's about to get cold over there. No gas, no lights. Uh-oh. And guess what? That's going to reverberate throughout the entire world.
Ben Hodges. I just want to play for you just a brief clip of Ben Hodges' interview that I did to show you, in his terms, in military speak, what's going on in Ukraine right now and how significant it is. Here, let's play this clip of my interview with Ben Hodges.
Okay, now let's see what Ben Hodges says, and we'll be able to determine whose side he's on, because he's not going to mention anything about the repercussions about the Ukrainians getting a sudden upper hand. He's not going to say, well, what's going to happen tomorrow?
In his terms, in military speak, what's going on in Ukraine right now and how significant it is. Here, let's play this clip of my interview with Ben Hodges.
Russia, which once was the second greatest military on the planet, is now the second greatest military in Ukraine. The Ukrainian forces have launched a very effective counterattack.
Yeah. And he's speaking as though the Ukrainians are the ones doing it. I'm sorry, but that's NATO, that's the EU, and the United States doing that. It's called World War III. And you're making believe that somehow it's not a proxy war. Now, we'll see what happens when Vladimir ups the ante.
Still early days, but it's incredible how much movement there has been, how much progress they've made. It's a combination of things that we could talk about, but it really has the feel that Russian forces have cracked. And so it's almost like once you get momentum going, it's very difficult for a defender who's untrained or disciplined or disorganized to stop. The Ukrainian general staff gets huge credit, I think, for maintaining very disciplined OPSEC, operational security. I mean, we've all been fairly surprised. The Russians were surprised. And the fact that the Ukrainians could get this many troops and equipment and vehicles into place, and also to deceive the Russians, to cause the Russians to shift forces down towards Kherson, weakening the place where the Ukrainians actually wanted to attack. So that's number one. You're talking about a high level of professionalism and skill. Secondly, and this is where the U.S. and other allies have helped.
What was that? Who is Russia fighting?
You're talking about a high level of professionalism and skill. Secondly, and this is where the U.S. and other allies have helped, the shaping operations that the Ukrainians have been doing the last few weeks, constantly pounding Russian logistics, destroying ammunition storage, hitting headquarters time after time after time. All of these things, plus partisans and or special forces operating in the rear area of Russian forces. This creates a lot of disruption, chaos, and so that weakened what was already, I think, a undisciplined Russian defense with people that really didn't want to fight anyway.
So there you
See how they make it sound? Let's let him cap it off.
have it. One of the most successful counter-offensives in military history. President Zelensky continues to stun. I was going to read you this as well from President Zelensky. This is what he actually said yesterday. This is what he said to Russia in the evening. He said this: "Do you still think we are one people? Do you still think you can scare us, break us, force us to make concessions? Don't you really get it? Don't you understand who we are, what we stand for, what we are all about? Read my lips. Without gas or without you, without you, without light or without you, without you, without water or without you, without you, without food or without you, without you."
Now he read that kind of wrong. Let me read it for him since he don't know how to read. Right? You got to use inflection. Read my lips. Without gas or without you? Without you. Without light or without you? Without you. Without water or without you? Without you. Without food or without you? Without you. That's how you read that. Sorry, buddy. Thought you would do a little better since you're a lawman and not a layman.
Cold, hunger, darkness, and thirst are not as frightening and deadly for us as your friendship and brotherhood. But history will put everything in its place, and we will be with gas, light, water, and food, and without you. How powerful is that?
And without you. How powerful is that? Well, we'll see how powerful it is.
This has been Mycellus from the...
Okay. All right, now let's find out when this was made. Oh, is that today? This was made today, but why didn't you put any of this in that awesome little vignette, Ben Mycellus? Why didn't you put any of this in there? This is a different perspective, okay, from my boy Johnny Storm over at Don't Speak News.
Midas Touch Network.
Salakia. Bear with me for a second. Let me set this up. Close player. Come on. All right, let's see what Johnny Storm has to say. All right. This is yesterday. Okay. This is a day before this guy made that video today. Now, let's hear the other side. Let's hear what the result of this fantastic counteroffensive was. All right, now let me go back. This is Johnny Storm at Don't Speak News. Yesterday, breaking, air raid sirens are going off all of Ukraine as Russia launches massive bombardment. You're going to see that now Russia is ready to do what they should have done when they started this, whatever they're calling it, war or whatever, all right? So they left this whole part out, all right? But hey, that's what we do here at the World War III Daily Update. We don't have a side. We're on the side of the Most High. And let's see what the Most High is doing. Let's see who's going to, see, whose side is the Most High on in this battle, or in World War III for that matter, because he does have a side. Let's see. Oh, okay. Isaiah 13 and 17. All right. Behold, I will stir up the Medes, that's the Russians. Who's I? That's the Most High, Yahweh. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. I will stir up the Medes, the Russians, against them. Well, who is them? America. Who is Russia fighting? Medes. Who is Russia fighting? Russia is against the Americans. At least that so-called retired general, at least he admitted that. Okay? Russia's not fighting the Ukraine. They're fighting the Babylonians, the Americans. Okay? Behold, I will stir up the what now whose side, okay? Well, who does the Most High have slated to win? Not that he's on anybody's side. He's against the Medes. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So, let's watch this. All you did by your little win the other day, you stirred up the Medes, or the Most High did. Let's watch this.
Hey guys, breaking news, at least a couple hours ago anyway. Russia has launched a massive missile barrage and they're hitting power plants for the first time. So let's just get right into it as always. Air raid sirens are sounding throughout Ukraine, including western Ukraine, as they're hitting targets there as well. And like it says, for the first time, the Russians are hitting electric generating stations, and blackouts are now being reported in many areas of Ukraine.
Lights out. How come none of this made it into this guy's little video he made today? You didn't look into it, or are you pushing a one-sided narrative?
So here's some video of those launches from submarines. You can see there.
And whose submarines is the Ukraine going to use to launch their missiles? Ukraine's got nuclear subs? How does that work?
And then down here, here's some incoming. Those are Russian caliber cruise missiles, guys. And that's what that looks like and sounds like. Power stations have been hit, like I said, including in western Ukraine, as their cities also lose power. Kharkov has also lost power, so we may not hear from Gonzalo Lira for a little bit, as that's where he's at. So 2:29 Eastern, reports coming from Ukrainian sources that in addition to the cities listed above, this Dneprovetsk and the entire Oblast of Zaporizhzhia have also been hit with total electrical blackouts. This targeting of electric generating plants is a major change from how Russia has conducted itself for the prior 6+ months. So this is it, guys. This may turn the Ukrainian people against the Kiev regime, and it may do so very quickly. As now, we're going to scroll down here a little bit and get to the latest. The public water supplies in Kharkov and this Dneprovetsk are now offline. No running water. And at 3 p.m. Eastern, Ukrainian residents are ordered to disconnect all their devices from the electrical grid as power equalization efforts begin amid Ukraine's struggle with remaining reserves. And there's power plant video here, or pictures of it being on fire. Again. And the third one. And the fourth one. Electric trains all across Ukraine have stopped as power goes out amid hits on the critical infrastructure, and Ukraine's air raid alarm maps warning system has stopped working. So they're not messing around anymore, guys. Russia's going after everything, including the electrical infrastructure of Ukraine. They've been avoiding that because they were hoping, I'm sure, to end this war rather quickly. They were hoping maybe Ukraine would just surrender. And that was the plan of the Ukrainians back in April, but
what? Listen closely to what that was Ukrainians' plan. Listen to what he says. And who's actually fighting?
End this war rather quickly. They were hoping maybe Ukraine would just surrender. And that was the plan of the Ukrainians back in April, but the Americans and NATO said, no, we're not going to allow that.
Here's what you have to understand. And we just pointed it out. I will stir up the Medes against them. Who is them? The Babylonians. The Americans are the ones pushing, but through proxy. This is a proxy war at this point. Russia knows that they're fighting against the Americans.
Maybe Ukraine would just surrender. And that was the plan of the Ukrainians back in April, but the Americans and NATO said, no, we're not going to allow that. So they have drugged this war on and drug it on, and now it's about to escalate. And some of you have asked me, well, what is Hal saying in his covert intel? Well, basically what it says is that Russia is going to issue a formal declaration of war. That's the rumor.
Boom. That's the what? War and rumors of war. Russia is about to make a formal declaration of World War III? No, it was just a sweep-up campaign, whatever they called it. All right.
What it says is that Russia is going to issue a formal declaration of war. That's the rumor. Okay? And he spells that out very clearly. That's a big rumor. Okay, but they are talking about either a limited mobilization of the general population. If they declare war, then they can do that. Or they'll have a general mobilization of the civilian into the military. So there'll be a draft, in other words. And but a formal declaration of war, they can do that. Right now, it's basically on a volunteer basis. Their military is much like ours. I'm not saying they're not using conscripts at all, but that's what they're saying publicly anyway. Now, to go along with all of this, we've got 2 American cruise missiles that were intercepted 5 kilometers from the Russian border.
What? Say that again? You got 2 what? American cruise missiles what? That were intercepted what? Huh? Intercepted as in shot down or captured. Okay. Cruise missiles were successfully intercepted by Russian air defense system. That's shot down. So America is over in the Ukraine fighting this war, shooting cruise. Well, no, the Ukrainians shot them. I beg to differ. You got to know what the hell you're doing. Unless they were trained in a couple of days on how to successfully fire off cruise missiles, then somebody else is over there doing it. Don't be stupid. The scriptures are telling you who's fighting who.
So this is a very serious escalation, and this may be another reason why Russia is looking at a formal declaration of war against Ukraine. As American cruise missiles were intercepted 5 kilometers from the Russian border, 2 U.S.-made cruise missiles were successfully intercepted by Russian air defense systems. However, the incident was of a very serious nature, since this is actually the first case of the use of American missile weapons near the Russian border. Relevant information was provided by the Defense Department, and I've got their briefing that I'm going to upload here in a minute, guys. That you can also get right here if you wish.
Good enough. You see where this thing is going. All right. So we're going to continue to report or update on the World War III Daily Update. All right, so let's get one on the way out. All right. Who do you think is going to win? Well, they're all going to lose. They're all Edomites. So let's just get this on the way out real quick. This is Revelation 11. Here's the formal declaration. It comes through Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past. That's World War I. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Salakia, that's World War II. Second woe is past. Behold, the third woe cometh quickly. There's your World War III declaration. All right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So with that, we hope that the elect will ratify you, brothers and few sisters. With that, we're going to say shalom.